Hey guys, Dave here from Cookin' Cheer, where we cook for the common folk. Well, I love chicken parmesan, but I don't want to go out and take out the whole thing like that. So I'm going to make it at home. And we're going to make up the easiest, fastest, and most delicioso chicken parmesan you'll ever make. And the sauce is just out of this world and probably something you've never seen before. So without further ado, let me show you how to do this. So first of all, let's begin with our ingredients. We got some Parmigiano, some panko breadcrumbs, marinara sauce, some oil, flour, a couple of eggs, some chicken, of course, mozzarella, garlic powder, Italian seasoning, salt, and pepper. So the first step, I'm going to grab up a chicken breast here and just lay it on a flat surface. And then we shall take a knife and I'm just going to go in and butterfly this. So I'm not going to go all the way through, just kind of part way through. So we end up something like this. And I'll bet you're liking my new fancy gloves, the black ones. I can use them here and I can use them in the shop. Just love them. And of course, I got about 3 breasts on the go here. So we're going to do this for all 3. Just something like that. I'm getting pretty good at butterflying, aren't I? Then I'm going to take that beautifully butterflied breast and put it between a piece of saran wrap here. Grab up the old sledgehammer and just kind of pound this out. You don't want it ridiculously flat, but quarter, half inches. Pretty good. I don't know where I found this tenderizer. I got it some department store somewhere, but you could just use any kind of flat surface to pound them down. But like I say, you want this, quarter, half inch, something like that. And to me, that's about perfecto. Just something like this, guys. Look at that. Oh. Next up, we're going to season things up, or at least the chicken up. A bit of salt. Not too much. And of course, the old ground black pepper that I love so much. I'm going to go a little heavy on this. And that's all we're going to do is just salt and pepper on these. Because we're going to add extra seasoning in the flour. And of course, we're going to flip these over and do the same thing for the other side. Okie dokie, next up we're going to work on our dredging station. So I am going to grab up half a cup of all-purpose flour and put that into the first station. I think half a cup is enough, you can do more or less. Then we're going to season this up with a bit more salt, just a touch, because we already did the chicken. And a bit more pepper, again, just a touch. A bit of the old garlic powder, you know me, I guts to have my garlic. And of course, some Italiano seasoning, or Italian seasoning. And you can have it wherever you like. I mean, you can add some paprika, whatever it might be, but this is good enough for me. And of course, going to grab up a fork and mix everything together here. Just something like that. And in the next station, I'm going to crack in 2 eggs. Oops, got a shell in there. Grab that out. Grab up the old fork and beat these up again. These are kind of farm fresh eggs, and they're really good. And somebody is patiently waiting for chicken parmigiano. I don't think chicken parmigiano is good for dogs. I don't know. Coco? In our last station, I'm going to go with half a cup of panko breadcrumbs. You could use the Italian too. I just kind of like the old panko. The panko has that really coarse texture, and I just like it. It just coats the chicken so well. But I mean, it's entirely up to you. You could use the seasoned Italian, like I say. Well, half a cup is good here. And of course, I'm going to add a quarter cup of Parmigiano to the breadcrumbs, or Parmesan to the breadcrumbs. Grab up the fork once more and mix everything together. And I can really smell that Parmesan. Oh, that's good. Alrighty then, you might have guessed the next step. I'm going to get those chicken breasts, and they're going into the flour. And just kind of dredge these around and just make sure they're totally covered in that flour. Ooh. What do you think? I think that's looking pretty good right about there. Just shake some of that flour off. And then into the egg. And what I do here is I change hands. Use my right hand. It gets really messy if you don't do that. I guess you could use tongs too, but I got my fancy black gloves, right? Just make sure some of that egg is drizzled off there. And you guessed it. Now into the panko. And look how nicely they coat. Woohoo. Make sure she's totally coated, and I can ever smell that Parmesan. And then give them a little shaky-dakey, and then we'll just set these aside. Now we're all seasoned up, it's frying time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab up a good knob of butter, and we'll add this to a pan over medium-high heat. And just kind of let this melt down. This is unsalted butter, of course. Then I'm gonna go in with some olive oil. I'm gonna add a fair amount of this. I'm not gonna say how much. I always get criticized for that. And that just kind of stops the butter from burning. We're pretty much melted down here now and looking pretty good. And of course, grab one of those chicken breasts and throw that in. And we're just going to fry this up until it's cooked through in a nice, beautiful golden brown here. And guys, while these are frying up, if you haven't watched last week's video on the landslide skillet, it was so good. I mean, I had it for about 2 days because it's always better with leftovers. So go back and watch that. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, guys, we're looking pretty good here. Oh, that's a nice golden brown. So I'm going to give that a flip over, of course. Do the same to the other side. Okay, we're pretty much done it here, guys. I'm just going to grab this up and set it aside on a plate. Now, another thing is you can also bake these and throw them in the oven, for 20, 25 minutes or something like that. But I just like frying them because they're a little bit crispy, a little bit crispier when you fry them. Okay, my friends, it is time to grab up some of that mozzarella and we're going to grate this up. Get a good mozzarella if you can, if you can afford it, because that is well worth it. Not saying that mine is the greatest in the world, but, if you can, it's got that extra mozzarella-y taste, if you know what I mean. Next up, I'm going to take my full jar of marinara and just pour it onto a baking sheet. Just kind of as evenly as you possibly can. Something like this. Then I'm just going to grab up a little bit of Italian seasoning because this sauce never has enough seasoning for me. And the Italian seasoning's got everything. So we'll just sprinkle this over the top. Now we'll take some of that mozzarella and just lay it over just enough so you think it's going to cover 3 of those breasts. And you see what we got here, guys? We got about 3 different piles of mozzarella. And lo and behold, we got 3 chicken breasts. And so each one of these is going to go over top of the chicken breast once we heat it up. Then we're going to grab these up, and they are going into a 425-degree Fahrenheit preheated oven for about 10 minutes until that cheese melts down. All right, guys, after 5 or 10 minutes, we are melted down and looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is grab a flat edge here, and I'm going to go underneath the sauce, something like this, and then just pick it up and bring it over top of that wonderful, yummy chicken breast. Doesn't that look good, guys? And I should mention too, guys, if you don't have one of these flat scoopers, you can just use a couple of egg flippers and go underneath something like that. Or even if you want, it might not look as good. Just scoop it up with a spoon and put it on. But this looks really good. It's going to be so good. Yum. And of course, I'm going to top this off with some Parmigiano. This is going to be so, so good. I can feel it in my bones. And of course, some freshly chopped parsley, just for some greenage and decoration. And there you have it, guys, our incredibly delicious and I think pretty easy chicken Parmesan. The whole family's going to love this. Everybody's going to love it. The neighbors will love it. All right, my friends, let's cut into this and see what we have. Make sure we get some of that cheese and some of that sauce. And I'm going to dig in from this end. Just look at that, and that chicken is done nicely. Wow. All right, it's time for the old taste test, the part I love so much. My goodness, guys. This is restaurant class. The chicken is done beautifully. I just love that sauce over the top. It is incredible. I mean, you got to make this up. I said it's really easy, and I think it's pretty easy. And it is so, so good. And if you make it, leave us a comment because I love to read them. And most of all, give us a like because it does help the channel out and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video. And of course, I'm going to have more of this wonderful chicken Parmesan. So good.